The NBA world is buzzing again, and it's not because of a blockbuster trade or a shocking injury update. It's because Jaylen Brown just made a statement that could redefine how the entire league views the Boston Celtics heading into the playoffs. A declaration so confident, so electrifying, that it split the basketball community between believers and skeptics overnight. Before we dive into what he said and why it might change everything for Boston, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the hype button so you don't miss a single twist in this incredible journey. Jaylen Brown didn't just speak, he declared. With Jayson Tatum sidelined, with names like Kristaps Porzingis, Drew Holiday, and Al Horford gone, the Celtics look like a team cornered. Most analysts are whispering about regression, some even daring to question if Boston can make the postseason. But Brown doesn't just reject that narrative, he crushes it. "I've never not been in the playoffs," he said with conviction. "I know what it takes, and I know this group has it." That confidence isn't baseless. Jaylen Brown owns more playoff wins than entire franchises. He's been through Game 7s, he's stared down superstars, and he's lifted the Larry O'Brien Trophy as the Finals MVP in 2024. The man has lived the pressure, and that's exactly why his words hit differently. But the real question is, can he carry the weight of Boston's expectations without Tatum by his side? The Celtics are entering a rare phase. No safety nets, no excuses, no room for hesitation. Every possession will test their chemistry. Every game will reveal if Brad Stevens built something that can survive adversity. And while many assume Boston's chances rest on new rotations or bench depth, what if the truth is simpler? What if belief itself, the relentless conviction Jaylen Brown just displayed, is the team's secret weapon? Remember, when the Celtics lifted the trophy less than 2 years ago, nobody outside Boston believed it was possible. They were called inconsistent, incomplete, even predictable. But then something shifted, and a group of players decided that talent wasn't enough. They needed purpose, grit, and unity. And now, Brown is channeling that same fire again. So what happens next? Will this new version of the Celtics shock the league again? Can Brown evolve from co-star to architect of a new dynasty? One thing's certain, the league isn't ready for a Boston team with nothing to lose and everything to prove. Jaylen Brown didn't just make statement, he threw down a challenge. And every rival franchise just felt the temperature rise in the East. Jaylen Brown didn't just make statement, he ignited a firestorm. When he declared that the Boston Celtics still have everything it takes to fight for another championship, he wasn't just talking about belief, he was daring the league to doubt him. But right when Boston fans were rallying behind his confidence, something unexpected began brewing hundreds of miles south. Whispers started coming from Atlanta, the city where Brown was born, and they carried one name louder than all others: the Atlanta Hawks. And the player they're targeting? Jaylen Brown himself. Hit that like button, subscribe, and click the hype button, because what's unfolding now could alter not only Boston's season, but the entire balance of the Eastern Conference. The rumors first seemed absurd. Why would the Hawks, a franchise still searching for identity around Trae Young, suddenly turn their eyes toward one of the NBA's most complete two-way stars? But then came the reports from Bleacher Report's Greg Swartz describing Atlanta's move as ambitious and calculated. Sources claim the Hawks front office, led by general manager Landry Fields, has quietly discussed ways to make a blockbuster deal that would bring Brown home to Georgia, pairing him with Young and the recently acquired Kristaps Porzingis in what they believe could be a championship-caliber trio. And that's when the league started to pay attention. Because if there's one thing history has shown, it's that whenever a franchise targets a superstar born in their city, things get complicated. Brown has never publicly expressed a desire to leave Boston, and the Celtics have shown no signs of wanting to part ways with their Finals MVP from 2024. Yet, as the NBA has proven again and again, loyalty can become fragile when opportunity, timing, and millions of dollars collide. But would Brad Stevens even consider it? That's where the intrigue deepens. Stevens has already shocked fans this year by sending Porzingis to Atlanta in exchange for Georges Niang, who was immediately flipped to Utah. These bold front office moves have made one thing clear: no scenario is impossible. Boston's president of basketball operations has a reputation for strategic ruthlessness, willing to reshape the roster if it means long-term flexibility and sustained success. The question now is, would trading Jaylen Brown ever fall under that category, or is he truly untouchable? Analysts believe that a hypothetical deal would require an astronomical return. We're talking about a package including multiple first-round picks, key young assets like Dyson Daniels or Onyeka Okongwu, and potentially another rotation-level player. Even then, the Celtics front office might hesitate. Brown's leadership has become the emotional backbone of this team, especially with Jayson Tatum recovering and veteran figures like Al Horford no longer around. And yet, from Atlanta's perspective, the gamble makes sense. They're tired of hovering in mediocrity, finishing seasons with 40-something wins and early playoff exits. Adding a player like Brown could instantly change their identity from a high-scoring experiment to a legitimate Eastern powerhouse. Imagine Brown and Young alternating as offensive engines, Porzingis stretching the floor, and a young defensive core supporting them. That vision alone might be enough for Atlanta to risk everything. But what nobody expected was how this rumor could reignite Boston's own fire. Instead of shaking Brown's confidence, the speculation only seems to have fueled it. He's responded with even more intensity in practice, reportedly taking on vocal leadership roles and setting the tone for younger players. It's almost as if the trade talks reminded him that every franchise wants what Boston already has, a generational competitor who never folds under pressure. Must Sarah K. the Hawks truly believe they can lure him away from the team that crowned him champion? The answer might depend on what happens in the next few months. If the Celtics maintain their dominance, Brown's loyalty could harden even further. But if Boston struggles to find rhythm without Tatum, the narrative could shift quickly, and suddenly, the idea of coming home to Atlanta might start sounding more poetic than impossible. Ienteo acontecu o inesperado. Multiple insiders reported that Atlanta executives were seen scouting several Celtics games, closely monitoring Brown's chemistry with new lineups. The message was clear. They're watching, waiting, and preparing. But in Boston, that same attention is becoming motivation. Joe Mazzulla's system, faster and more dynamic than ever, now positions Brown as both scorer and facilitator, giving him the kind of control he's always thrived under. The irony is striking. While the Hawks are plotting how to acquire him, Boston is giving him exactly what he's always wanted: trust, responsibility, and a franchise built around his leadership. Maybe that's what nobody expected. That instead of shaking the Celtics, these rumors would actually strengthen them. So what happens next? Will the Hawks make an official offer worth tens of millions of dollars, perhaps even breaking their roster to chase a dream? Or will Jaylen Brown use this moment to reaffirm his identity as the beating heart of Boston basketball? One thing's undeniable. Every time Brown steps on the court now, he's not just playing for wins, he's playing to remind the world that no amount of trade talk, speculation, or outside noise can shake a man who already knows what it takes to be a champion. The league might see this as a storm forming, but in Boston, it feels like the calm before something greater. Jaylen Brown has made a statement, Atlanta has made its move, and the season ahead might just prove which one truly defines the future of the East. The league might see this as a storm forming, but in Boston, it feels like the calm before something greater. Jaylen Brown has made a statement, Atlanta has made its move, and the season ahead might just prove which one truly defines the future of the East. But before any trade rumor can gain momentum, the Celtics have something even more important to prove. The preseason has arrived, and it's time to see what the new identity of this Boston team really looks like. Something unusual is happening in training camp. Reports say the Celtics have been going all in, not with empty talk or nostalgia for what was lost, but with a sense of urgency that feels different. Every drill has been more physical, every scrimmage faster, every possession treated like the fourth quarter of a playoff game. There's no Jayson Tatum for now, no Porzingis, no Horford, yet the gym in Brighton has been filled with energy that feels electric. Joe Mazzulla isn't looking to replace superstars, he's crafting a new rhythm, a new core, and possibly a new era. The first thing to watch is pace and physicality. The Celtics aren't just planning to run, they're preparing for war. This preseason won't be about fancy plays or star highlights, it's about sending a message. Mazzulla wants Boston to be the team that hits first, that wins loose balls, that forces opponents to adapt to their rhythm. The idea is simple yet ruthless. Turn every game into chaos, and then control that chaos. Jaylen Brown himself said it best. They may not have the same experience as before, but they'll make up for it with effort and speed. But will this new intensity hold up in the paint? That's where the next mystery lies. The big man rotation is the biggest unknown on this roster, and it could decide Boston's ceiling this season. Nemias Quetta, Luka Garza, Xavier Tillman, and maybe even Chris Boucher are all fighting for minutes that used to belong to legends like Al Horford and Kristaps Porzingis. What nobody knows yet is who among them will rise under pressure. Can Quetta's size translate into consistent defense? Can Tillman become the heart of this new front court? This is where the Celtics' hidden potential could quietly emerge. And then there's the wing battle. Jaylen Brown is back, healthy and sharper after off-season surgery, ready to take on more responsibility. Alongside him, Sam Hauser looks fully recovered and dangerous again. But beyond those two, the wings are a battlefield of hungry talent. Josh Minot, Baylor Shireman Jordan Walsh, and Hugo Gonzalez all bring flashes of unpredictability and hunger. One of them might become the breakout story of the year, the kind of underdog who reshapes Boston's rotation before anyone realizes it. Finally, the quiet storyline that could explode later, the two-way players. The Celtics completely revamped that group this summer, bringing in Amari Williams, Max Shulga, and R.J. Luis Jr. While their names don't yet echo around the league, their summer league performances hinted at something intriguing. Williams has power, Shulga has precision, and Luis, once fully recovered, could surprise with his court vision. Boston has turned these developmental pieces into secret weapons before, and this year might be no different. Mas Sarah K. The Celtics are truly ready to unleash this new identity? What if this preseason is not about rebuilding, but about revealing a deeper layer of resilience that the rest of the league isn't expecting? The absence of Tatum might not be a weakness, but a spark that allows others to rise, that forces Boston to rediscover the hunger that once defined their championship DNA. And as every camera turns to watch how Jaylen Brown leads this new version of the Celtics, one thing becomes clear. This team isn't playing for survival, they're preparing for domination. Every possession in preseason is a statement that Boston is not fading away, they're evolving. The Celtics are rewriting their story, and the next chapter starts now. If you believe in this new beginning, if you feel that same spark returning to Boston, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and click the hype button, because the journey to prove the doubters wrong has just begun.